You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Gene Johnson.
From the AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AfterBuzz TV's R&B Divas After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's R&B Divas After Show.
We'll listen to the R&B Divas theme song. Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to R&B Divas for the AfterBuzz After Show. This was a reunion, and I'm your host, Bamm Ericsen, and introduce yourself, please.
Hi, everybody. I'm Taisha Monique.
I am Alfred Nolan Thomas II.
Hey, guys. I'm Chloe Onyx.
So, we're listening to the theme song, and that was the first thing that they discussed. So, let's just get into this. So, Wendy Williams, who was the host.
I love Wendy.
Well, let's talk about that really quick. So, what are your thoughts overall about the show, and then what do you guys think about what do you think about the show? What do you guys think about Wendy being the host?
For recaps, I thought this was the best, most professional one. I really liked seeing the women's songs as interludes. I thought that was really clever instead of doing the same runs. I also, out of the host, I thought Wendy Williams was the best for this particular season and these particular group of women. Like when they had Monique and all the other ones, I think they were
Monique.
What?
You talking about Shirley Ralph when she stepped in?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, Shirley Ralph. When they used them, I thought they were cool, but as a host that commanded respect out of the women, definitely came with in-your-face moments, but at the same time with respect and stuff. So I felt like the women weren't pressured to keep their mouths closed. It was more like a great venue. She was a great orator with that.
Yeah, I agree. I think Wendy had a great way of just kind of putting it out there, getting to the point, because that's just how Wendy is. She's like, enough of the fluff. Let's just talk about it. So it gave the women, I feel like, more of a comfortability to go ahead and unleash and talk about it, which of course created some drama and rifts in the tide, but that's what it's all about. It's a reunion show, so.
Yeah, no, I love Wendy. She always asks the hard-hitting questions. I felt Mila was a little defensive, but I mean, Wendy likes to get the juice. Yeah, she gets in your business, like when she asked about Music Soul Child.
which we'll discuss.
And Faith's husband? Wow.
And so,
I know.
One thing, Wendy did definitely, she did ask the questions that needed to be asked, but did you notice the disposition on the girls? Some of them seemed like they just did not want to be there from the jump, which for me, when you are doing a reality show, particularly for the past, I don't know, 7-8 years, I think back to the reunion starting probably with the I Love New York, Flavor of Love type thing. There's always reunions for every reality show.
Yes.
The Real Housewives of whoever, Bad Girls Club, there's always reunions. And you're actually paid a bonus for attending the reunions. So why do these people show up to the reunion like this?
Or it was extra, and I felt like a little fake, even the greeting.
Because at this point, they've seen the show.
Too bad.
And they feel away. And it's like they already know America has their depiction of them. And so when they come here, it's like, I feel like a lot of them just feel like they have to defend themselves. Or they're just not with it, or they're mad at the producers for editing things the way they edit them, which Syleena, I think, had expressed, or somebody had expressed.
It was
Latavia.
So let's break this down. So the first thing Wendy discusses is a theme song, and so she asked, there were some people's voices that was missing on the theme song, and so she asked who sung the theme song and who didn't. Of course, Latavia raises her hand, and then Angie says that she didn't sing, and so then Wendy asked, well, how did Angie feel about that? Was she asked? Was she not asked? She didn't even know that a theme song was even,
being done.
was
That's
being
a cool
done.
thing.
And so it was when KeKe asked her if she was going to be a part of it. Angie said no. Angie said she felt pissed about it because, you know, Angie always wants to sing. What do you guys think about the theme song? And should all of the women have been a part of the theme song?
I mean, it would have been nice, definitely. In the sense of the way the show's been kind of ran, nothing seemed to come together in a sensible way. And I think this was also the case where how they were left out of the Grammy and being in a situation where there's a lot going on that I feel I don't know. I mean, I personally felt on Angie's side that she was right in feeling some type of way. At the same time, with the way they've been putting everything together, it's like you just know that it's not going to be done right.
Well, I'll say this. Hey, Phil, can you turn me up just a little bit? I do know that when they were taping season 1 of the LA version, they had a couple of the girls do their own different versions. So Kelly Price's "It's My Time to Shine, It's My Time to Fly," that was a song that she wrote for the R&B Divas theme, and she had Little Mo and I believe Shantae Moore sing on her versions. But TVOne chose Little Mo's theme song over Kelly's. So I can see where Angie's coming from, but I think TVOne just needs to be a little more professional in saying, okay, who's gonna do, you know, just being real and upfront about how they're gonna go about to do
like
the
worst
theme
case
song.
scenario, no one should have been in the dark.
Yeah.
To say the least.
Right, exactly. I
Yeah.
feel like at least everybody should have had their moment, and you know, obviously what they choose to use, the snippet that they choose to use is what TV1 chooses to use, but at least like let everybody in on what's happening and not have Angie have to, you know, find out from KeKe or whatever.
But then again, that's how you create shade. That's how you create these moments that they're trying to create of, you know, this one against that one and the whole editing, or, you know, like they just need to create these moments of conflict. And this is a perfect example of that.
And speaking of conflict, of I guess of interest, so Wendy then asked, you know, how did they feel about their images, how they were portrayed? Did they like how they were being portrayed? And so then, of course, Latavia says that she didn't particularly feel about how the editing came about for her and how she was representative. So I'm just gonna sit back and I'm gonna let you guys go.
I mean, I think Wendy put it the best way, in the best words by saying, I always believe that you don't, you show them what you let or have or something like that.
Like what you give them is what they
you
get.
give them is what they use.
So for
Yeah.
me, it was definitely it's a situation where she had no kind of, I felt like no stance of explanation. It was more like I can't wait to see what she's gonna say, and she really ain't had much of nothing to say substantially.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it was kind of restating everything that we've heard throughout the season, and as far as, you know, her not wanting to sing and it being the huge thing that was talked about through the whole, you know, whole series. But it's like, well, I mean, duh, like why you gave them that footage, so they're gonna use it and they're gonna manipulate it how they see fit to make the best quality, you know, television for the viewers. So
Yeah.
it is what it is, Latavia.
To play devil's advocate, I do feel both sides of the coin. Like, you know, you can't be on your P's and Q's all the time. You know, it's very hard to make sure that you're picture perfect at every moment. There could be a moment where you forgot what you were going to say, and they can use that to highlight it to make it look like you just are stupid. So I mean, yeah, they can't use anything that you don't give them, like you were saying, but it's very, you know, it's almost like you have to practice. You have to practice to not be able to give them anything to use against you, which could be pretty tough, especially when they're throwing scenarios at you to get something from you. So I definitely feel where Latavia is coming from, but at the same time, I feel like she could have done better to help herself in that situation, to not look like, hey, you on the show, you know, you're not singing, and why are you here? So, I mean, it's both sides.
Yeah.
Well, there was one thing that I caught Latavia saying. She said that although she didn't like how they kind of ran it over and over and over about her and the whole not singing thing, she said that the producers or the executives, they did like her story. And so again, for me, I've always said I think this was something that TVOne put into the mix.
Strategically.
Latavia
Yeah,
says,
of
I'm not a solo artist. I don't want to sing. And so they wanted to use her because now the other women have something that they could be against.
Yeah.
And so if the producers liked her story, then then Latavia gave them what they needed to make the conflict for the season to go.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So yes, she didn't want to sing, but if she told the producers that I'm not a singer, I'm not a solo artist, this is not what I'm trying to do, and then they still allow to put her on, then why are we mad that she's making her little money?
There's a reason. There's a reason why she was stuck in there. Why we've been always like asking, why is she on the show? Why is she on the show? We know why she's on the show, and that's the reason. And it was to create that riff of conflict amongst all the other things that went on in the show and that were went on during the season. That was obviously one of the main common ground that just kind of kept coming up. So clearly that was there for that reason. Otherwise, if everybody's saying, then everybody's saying, well, we wouldn't have nothing to talk about.
I do think that Latavia needs to defend herself a little bit better. Yeah. I would have liked to have seen, what were some of the other things? If you're saying that you weren't about the singing, what were some of the other things that you filmed that did not make the clip? Because then you make people get a better understanding for where you were coming from, and she didn't do that. And so I feel like the poor girl just needs to defend herself because
better.
Well, for me, if she had something she was trying to do that they didn't think was interesting, and she had stated that as a reason, that would have been justified. I would have had a lot less to say. But the fact that you don't see her on camera doing anything to add anything to the situation, and then they don't talk about her doing anything else.
Exactly.
And you don't have any explanation as to why things are going on. People are gonna not see eye to eye with you and either be agitated or aggravated by your presence, or be combative and make you annoyed by being around. And you can see through the many clips how many times they kept putting her in that position of, oh Lord, I feel crazy about this situation. How y'all doing?
Yeah, I was just confused as to. Never mind. Actually, go ahead. Never mind.
So Wendy then asked about the Destiny's Child, and she asked about the whole substance and her drinking, and she said that it was about more so than her childhood, more so than the Destiny's Child thing. And so then she asked, what happened, and she pretty much kept it pretty. It was about management.
Pretty political.
Did you guys know that? And I'm surprised Wendy didn't ask this question because she loves to dig up old things. KeKe Wyatt was a part of Destiny's Child back when they were kids. Did you guys know that?
I never knew that.
Yeah, so I
Up
wondered,
until what point?
I just remember if you YouTube KeKe Wyatt on 106 in Park, Free and them talk about it, how when she was a little girl she used to be in the group. So maybe at that transition before, when they were
Girls'
little,
time, maybe?
little girls. When they when they were little girls or something, and maybe she was a member after
probably
school
made
or
too many
something.
faces as a little kid.
I can't.
Yeah.
Tried it.
But in either case, so then Wendy then goes and she pulls out a question from social media, and this question was directed toward Mila, where she asked about if Mila had an affair with Faith husband's now ex-husband, Todd Shaw, I think, Todd Russell, but Todd. And what was your thoughts on how Mila responded?
She was very defensive. She was very and made you think well, damn, did you have the affair? Because everything was just no, I said, she was very, I feel like if you have nothing to hide, it should have been a clear, simple, no, I don't know where they're getting that from, but she was acting like someone put her in the hot boiling water. And I mean, maybe it was a little hot, but dang, she was ready to bite Wendy's head up. Can we just stay to this? I answered your question, so next.
It was
okay.
But the way Mila answered it, she said that, that Todd was first her manager, and then he's like family. No.
Yeah.
So she slipped the no in there rather than say no. It never happened. Sorry.
So what do you think?
Well, Faith and Todd. I don't know. I mean, I don't know because I don't know Mila well.
Yeah.
But I don't.
We can't even explain her living situation.
Yeah, I won't put. I'm. If she said no, then no. I'll just. So what? Who cares? If she says no.
It's a lot
Then-
of aggression behind that. No, though. I'm just
But I
saying.
mean,
That was a fierce no.
That's a
honey.
left fielder. I wouldn't. If I can imagine she didn't expect to get that kind of question.
She should have
in that
because this
round.
is Wendy
I
Williams
was
and
gonna
Wendy
say she should
Williams.
expect everything. All of them
Yeah,
should.
Wendy
digs for
Williams.
gold.
Wendy Williams is a radio personality. Wendy digs, and Wendy
did a good
knows.
job.
Yeah, so
Sure
I
enough,
think she should not have been so defensive in that response. And so
It
now,
made her look suspect.
yeah,
Exactly.
That's all.
what do you guys think about KeKe and the when Wendy asked her that it was implied that the fights were staged, and then they played the audio from the radio show? What do you guys think about that?
Not good supporting evidence. Like when they
Yeah.
played it back, I'm like, okay, Wendy.
I was
don't
trying to
think so.
listen for something that would trigger
Yeah.
it, and I was just like, maybe I'm not hearing it right.
Yeah.
Like, let me go back and listen again.
Yeah, there was totally nothing that was implied.
Yeah.
And
no.
then they started a whole another thing about how the whole cursing thing, which
Yeah,
I don't know.
that was weird.
I mean, but I will say, watching the TV show, I was a little. There was moments with her rants that I was like, "Dang, that mouth, it's crazy." So I wasn't shocked that it was brought up in the recap show because that was, I guess, a thing in my heart that I felt, especially with, I guess, the way her and Syleena pushed the Christian envelope. So I was like, kind of crazy, but I didn't want to say that. But it was brought up, so I was like, okay, maybe I ain't crazy.
Cuckoo Kiki.
Yeah. Let's go to KeKe.
I love her faces.
Well, yeah, her face
Can we
is.
talk about the montage of faces? Because that just made me so happy. That was my favorite part.
I'm mad he made a face.
You
for
made a face
Kiki.
with face. I just
That's
love
scary.
it.
I love Kiki's
It's
face
very-
because you know what? People are afraid to be ugly on
Yeah,
TV.
that's what you think. I
Kiki
think
don't
that's
give
why
a
I love
damn.
it so
She's
much.
like, I
But
look
that wasn't
crazy.
ugly.
It's not about.
It was
It's not
mental.
about. It's yeah. It, to me, it's a psycho. It's a mental thing. I agree.
Yeah, it's like what is going on in here that make them faces feel
She
comfortable
should
to
be
always
acting.
kicking in here.
That's an actor right
That's
there.
what. That's all I see is I see
Yeah.
somebody who she likes. She can manipulate her face. She can look kooky, crazy, and
She likes to
silly,
express.
but
But
she
it's
still
not
has
like-
like a presence about her that I respect. Like I don't know. I mean,
No.
I don't know. I think she has both sides. I think
No.
she has a respectable side to her. And I think she
No.
has a goofy, crazy side to her. To
I
be
would-
KeKe
I
Wyatt
think
and do
she's
everything she's done in
cuckoo.
this industry, she's got a respectable side to
No,
her.
she's just that phenomenal of a singer, and I think that's why she gets away with doing it
yeah.
in so many
Well, then I respect her singing.
professional
That's right.
settings that people you see people's reaction to her. It's one of those situations where it's like you just can't help it because she's in the proper spot to get away with it. But if you were to break it down and she didn't have that talent, she would be that special kid in the corner that's doing
I love
something
the
with the
special
Play-Doh
kids.
and don't nobody talk to.
But let's also remember during season 2 when she had that meeting with an A&R
Yeah,
record
went
company.
crazy.
She went crazy and she was making face like I'm sorry.
That's
There
what
is a
she-
time and place.
My
No,
eyes
I
hurt.
didn't say
Yeah.
that.
Ow.
There is a time and place, but
She's a very special person. This we know. But again, this we know. But like you said, that talent, and there's a lot of people in the industry who, in entertainment, who are just off their rocker. Artists are off their rockers. But again, she is incredible at her craft. And that, like you said, is what makes her, it lets her get away with what she gets away with. Even on stage, she was going back and forth on previous episodes with the audience. She wanted to sit up to shoot. I feel like KeKe's just off the chain. But when she sings, that's a gift from God that touches people in a way that they can just forget about all her craziness. So it's just, and I feel like to have that is like a blessing. I mean, not that you want everyone running around cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, but there's some, you know, and maybe she has to be that way to have that talent or that special gift. Like, you know, people who are like geniuses are off, you know, like they always say geniuses are crazy. People thought Beethoven was crazy. You know what I
I
mean?
just think she has a little bit of realness to her that maybe some people are looking for when they look at these shows and they see them all and they're all, you know,
She should have her own show.
You know,
I wouldn't watch it, but speaking of gifts and talents, we are blessed to be able to have iTunes where you guys are able to just go and watch all of our shows through iTunes, and you guys can download, rate, comment, and tell a friend and subscribe. So we want to thank you for all the gifts and blessings that you give us here at AfterBuzz, because it's because of you guys on iTunes, for all the many downloads that you guys give us weekly. We're able to have lights on and give you these great after shows. So thank you to iTunes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So now Bridezilla. So KeKe, she kind of deflects the attention and she calls Monifah Bridezilla. And so now we have Terez comes out and they discuss the engagement. And it was really brief, but the bigger issue or topic when Terez was out was the whole issue of Monifah's daughter not attending the wedding, which her daughter wasn't mentioned the entire season.
I think it was
Yeah.
it was big and well dealt with for it to be such a issue. I mean, it's like they were in a position of you can't change somebody's opinion, and you should respect everyone as much as they respect and love you for your decisions and living with that. So I think it was one of those things where it shouldn't. I like the way they dive into it, and I like the way Monifah and Terez handled it, and in respect to, you already know kind of, if you've been in any aspect of or around Christians and how they feel about homosexuality and just living that lifestyle or whatever, just to know the sensitivity between the opposing ideologies. I feel that they handled that as a family matter the best way possible.
I mean, I feel we know from previous seasons her disdain for the relationship and her personal feelings towards her mom, and you know, Monifah had her own drug addiction and issues and things of that nature. So I mean, in past seasons we definitely seen the daughter, you know, feel some type of way about her relationship with Terez, and so, you know, I mean, what can you do?
Yeah.
I think they still support each other. I think you could tell that it's not something that is easy for them, but there's real love between everybody involved, that it can be like, you know,
It's
if
a
it's a
respect
family
thing.
member thing, and you're not always going to be able to dictate what your family member is going to do or how they're going to live their life. But the one thing that won't change is the fact that that's family.
Let's also speak in regards to family. Let's talk about Angie and her daughter Diamond. So the rundown is Angie was explaining how it's, you know, hard being a working diva, and how her daughter is still hurt the fact that Angie was pregnant at 22 and she had to have someone else raise her daughter, because that's when she got that hit. I want to get what's the little hip hop song she does with the group. And so her career took off since then, and so she said that there was verbal and physical abuse between them. So the daughter is really hurt about that. But then Angie mentioned something. She says that now she wants to do this, and now she wants Angie to now retire so that she can go and do her career. What are your thoughts about that?
What are you thinking? You need your mama to be as active and moving as possible. I mean, I don't know. I just think from the perspective of, if I'm looking at it as you could take advantage of your mother's legacy and what she's done, the last thing your mother should be is irrelevant and retired. So I disagree in any aspect of that, unless, you know, she may not be the hit and everybody's popular CD and radio rotation right now, but you can't take away what she's done in the industry and who she is as a person and artist. So yeah, no.
But also, you know, children, they like to, some children, I will say, not all, you know, but they like to have that sense of individuality when they are, quote unquote, following in their parents' footsteps in whatever avenue it is. Some kids really do like that idea of, I don't want my mom's help. I don't want my mom's name to be attached to what I'm doing. I want to do it on my own. I want to do it for me. I don't want to get you know, special privileges or treatment because of who my mother is. So I don't know if that's where she's coming from.
I don't think that's where she's coming from. I don't think that's where she's coming from.
Hating on her mama.
I think that, you know, there's a certain way that she feels about her mom, and she feels that because, I'm just speaking as this is what I interpreted from what Angie was saying about her daughter, that because she didn't give any kind of, she basically didn't sacrifice her career. She went forth with her career, and she feels that now it's her time to sacrifice her career and do the right thing as a mom, because you didn't do what she thought was right 29 years ago. But what's really interesting is if you meet kids whose parents are celebrities or some like athletes or anyone with fame, their perspectives are a little different than someone as ourselves whose parents are not celebrities and who's not in the highlight. They don't care that mommy's Angie Stone. They don't care that mommy is Wendy Williams. They don't care that their dad is Diddy. They want you to be a dad. They don't care about you going on tour. They don't care about the glitzing. They don't care about any of that. They want someone who's going to be a parent. And so I can see, I'm just playing devil's advocate, but I can see Diamond's perspective and where she's going with this. So that's just what I think.
I want to touch on the fact of, I think that I get what Diamond is feeling, but I feel like she's not going about it the right way.
Mm-hmm.
Like she wants her career to take off and she wants her mom to slow down. But I feel like the way that I would do it, or, you know, like I have family members who've done it like this. Their parents are famous. Have them take you on tour with them. Like, you don't have a career. Nobody's listening to you, but they're listening to Angie Stone. So if Angie's on tour, the best bet for you to help your career would be to go on tour with her. Why would you want her to quit? And my cousin is doing the same thing with his father right now. His father was a star from the 80s. So his father goes on these tours. He goes with him, and that helps bring him some light to his career because he doesn't have one. And, you know, you work at it for a long time, but in this industry, you got to be a complete package ready to go in these days and these times. So especially when you're a new artist, when you still working on your craft, the best thing to do, especially when you have a parent who everyone knows and respects at, you know, whatever level they are in their career, and you're trying to get your career off the ground, the smart thing for her to do would be like, Mom, can I come with you? Can I do a song with you? And Angie's trying to help her by trying to give her songs or do songs with, like, the best thing she could do for her career is to work with her mother as opposed to telling her mother to quit so she could get started. Because that doesn't make any sense.
But if there's still that animosity there, then it's gonna be hard for, like, if Diamond still has those negative feelings and, you know, that past.
But doesn't she want Angie to quit and become her child's babysitter practically?
Well, be grandmother. But let's move forward because there's so much more we have to do and we have so little time. And Angie's daughter is not really a big topic. And let's go really quickly to Mila being questioned about her relationship with Musiq Soulchild and if they are still together, are they still sleeping in the bed together? You know, will she rely on Musiq Soulchild to support her for the rest of her life? What were your thoughts? We kind of touched on that.
Yeah.
Any thoughts? If not, we can move on.
Well, I think it's one of those things that family and their kid is a special case, and I'm sure the attention actually caters to them needing to be closer together. So for me, I feel like it's just a lot of stuff going on. But I would imagine it's hard to live in the same household and be separate in your relationships. So I'm sure, as much as she tried to say there's nothing going on, I'm sure that's a very gray color story.
Something going on.
Okay. Is it pronounced Funky Deniva?
I'm sorry?
Funky Deniva, the guy, my hair is laid like, what's his name?
I thought it was Funky the Diva. I don't know.
Diva.
Well,
Funky Diva.
Funky
looking.
Yeah, Funky Deniva. So he is a very interesting personality. He's a blogger and he always wears these different wigs and he's always saying that his hair is laid like, my hair is laid like Harry Washington from Scandal, my hair is laid like Diana Ross, so he always has this thing about his hair is laid, and so they let him just go in and he told KeKe, he says that KeKe, you picked the wrong time to go crazy and you should chase after the lady who stole your Grammy. Oh you have too many kids to I would be crazy too if you but he says running around with all those kids, I would be crazy too. Then he told Mila to run and how she's not in a girl group anymore and she needs to move and she needs to get herself together. Then he said, but Syleena is the hustler out of the group. Syleena performs. He said Syleena will perform at buffet, PTAs, and food truck.
That was messed
The
up.
devil is a lie. The recession won't get me. And then he starts quoting Selena's hit song, Guess What?
Yeah.
Terrible.
And then he
wrote
said,
that whole thing down.
Then he said that
He was
that
ready.
Selena's sister, Silesia, makes sure that she cleans the truck before she stands on the table and starts performing.
Terrible. God, get him.
That correct.
I will say this. That moment was better than homegirl who was working out and asking questions.
Oh, Brisha.
Yeah, that thing was crazy. But yeah and no. But yeah.
And
I was
no.
like, it's one of those over the top moments, and it was a great try for TVOne to give that brother a chance. I'll say that. But at the same time, it was like a little out there. But it was cool to see him be able to chop up the girls in good ways. So I wasn't
Like Wendy
mad
said,
at
like
it.
he kind of read you all,
Yeah.
but in a nice
Nice
way.
But he
I
did.
was like,
He did.
kinda
And he got to him, and he getting sued the whole thing. So it was a refreshing, weird, odd moment that I don't think they should do that often, but it was cool for what it was.
The girls didn't seem, well,
didn't
particularly Syleena didn't feel, she wasn't amused at all.
Because it's like, who's this?
Yeah, well, they know who he is because he shows up at all the events, and they said that he talks like that in
To their
person.
face.
In their
But
face.
KeKe said, he wouldn't talk to her, of course, because she's, what does he call? He called her
Cuckoo?
cuckoo,
KeKe?
cuckoo, something like that. So it was entertaining. It was entertaining. So now we have Angie and Ashanti talking about the marriage, and so
That brother does not want to be in that conversation.
Wendy asked, "Are you remotely interested in getting married?" And he said, "Yes."
But it was like
The devil's a lie.
Monifah turns to an ugly face. Well, there was some information. There was some information that was mentioned about how they met. He was an auditor and a control at an airlines, and he had a degree in management. And so because she was being shafted and always being taken advantage of, she asked Ashanti to be the manager when they were dating, and how he says that he's not scared of marriage. It's the divorce that he's scared of. What are your thoughts quickly in regards to the Angie?
He's a lie. Next.
Yeah, I think that's just an excuse. But at the same time, I mean, it shows how serious marriage is, and I don't think he should just jump in it. And if he doesn't want it, then I don't think she should want it that bad.
Well, I mean, I feel like there's definitely couples in the world that will go years and years and years and years. Like my aunt and my uncle, they were together for 10 years and didn't get married. So but it has to be, you have to be on common ground with it. Like you can't just, one party's like, oh, I don't ever really want to get married, and then the other party's like, but what I do. If you both can come to that agreement, like we don't need to get married, but we can still be together and in a relationship and be loving, then cool. But I just don't think they're on the same page. I think Angie wants one thing.
Let me
he
ask this
wants
question.
another.
Do you think that after Angie obviously watched R&B Divas, watched the season, did you feel that she kind of changed her story a little bit to make them coincide with each other as to why they're taking so long to get married? That's just how I felt. I felt like she obviously watched some things and she changed the story, and now she's like, well, the family, this. I felt like she kind of changed her ways of how she felt about marriage to please him, potentially, for maybe walking the hell away from this relationship.
And probably to save herself a little teeny bit embarrassment of him not wanting really to, or at least not expressing that he really wants to marry her. So low key, like I'd be embarrassed. Like, okay, well, yeah, me either. It's not a big deal.
Okay, well, we have two other things we need to talk about really quick. Silesia and Michael came out, and so Silesia spoke about how she was the whole issue. She was in the hospital for 7 months, and she had to deliver a baby that was not alive.
Stillborn,
Deep.
I
thought it
Wendy,
was-
I didn't think Wendy was going to talk about her too.
See, that's what I was gonna say.
I knew.
Yeah.
Well, Wendy has mentioned it a lot. If you watch the show, and if it's appropriate, she will mention it. But I thought that was really great for Wendy to mention that they all had moments where they just kind of had to break down for a moment. My heart goes out to her. I have nothing to say about it. It's just
that was a heart-wrenching moment.
God bless them.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was beautiful though that Wendy kind of put it out there. You know, again, if she's ever said it before, she put it out there again to give her that comfort, like you're not alone. You know, in this.
Indeed.
So
Let's talk about the tour issue. That was the last thing that was an
I mean,
issue.
they
Big
went out with
body
a bang.
issue.
So
With a bang.
so what are you guys' thoughts? Or do I need to break it down?
Messy. It just sounds messy. Like no, it wasn't. It was initially this. No, because it's.
And then the
all
fact
right.
that they're talking, you know, and she's like, well, I didn't say that. Yeah, you did. It, like, one of you is lying, clearly. So
Yeah. Or you forgot.
Is it?
Just be real. Like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
forgot. It was a long time ago. Like, come on. Be real.
I mean, I felt like it was one of those situations where I felt emotions and feelings were dictating people's negative energy that they're, well, more so from Syleena and her sister. It seemed like they were bitter about the way things went down, and not to side with Angie, but she looked honestly confused with their attachment to how hurt they were or something. Like, it seemed like it's business, and it could be taken as shade if you want to take it to heart, but if you see it as just business, then it could just be just business.
Yeah.
And
Angie playing dumb.
well,
Sorry.
so
She
there was a couple things. So when Silesia brought the tour about the two of them doing the European Soul Tour, there was discussion that they would split it 50-50. But then Angie says that, you know, when she goes overseas, she makes on an average $300,000 for the tour. Now,
Interesting.
that is interesting, but you also have to remember, artists who may not have radio play here in the United States are huge. Let's take, for instance, Cisco.
Really?
Cisco does we know him from the Thong Song. Cisco tours every year overseas and he makes his money. So that's where a lot of artists can go and make their money. And the fact that Angie's been in the business for 35 years, I believe that she honestly can make $300,000. So it wouldn't make sense for her to take a cut. But where the confusing thing came for me is when they were discussing that it would originally be 50%, they would go 50% each.
But they're doing an hour and 30 minutes?
Yeah, that they're doing 50, that they would split it 50%, and then they would be able to make off merchandise. What doesn't make sense is, again, Syleena has chapter 1 and chapter 2, and she has All Falls Down with Kanye, and then she has, guess what? Angie's body of work is much longer. So for them to go at a tour at 50%, seems crazy to me. I would never do that. If I was Angie Stone, I would never do 50%. Yeah, we can do 50% of time. Like, yeah, we can both do 30 minutes, but you know, I got like my 30 minutes is gonna be all hits. What's yours gonna be? But Angie totally deserves the money that she is asking for. So there was just a couple of things that didn't make sense. The way they were throwing out numbers, I don't really know who to believe, but I think there's honesty on both sides, and I think there's lies on both sides.
Yeah,
Definitely.
No, that's a good way to sum it up. For the
I felt like it was the only part that bothered me was when she said that, whoever with the tour people came to Angie and was like, "Oh, I didn't even think you would do a tour with Syleena." Like, that part, I was like, really? Did they say that? Did they say it like that? And who said it? Oh yeah. Who is she? Like, that part, I was like, okay, you either could have left that information out, or you know, or I don't know, but it I was just like, oh dang, was that necessary now? Like, Angie, was that necessary? But other than that, I agree with you. I think Angie has the body of work to support that amount of money, and if she ain't getting that, then
But I think Angie was thinking that the problem was that the money was the issue, but Silesia was saying that was not the issue. The issue with Silesia and Syleena is the fact that Silesia brought this tour to them, and Angie went on the tour without them. So technically speaking, in the entertainment industry,
stole the job.
She's not only did she steal the job, but Silesia is technically a producer. So if she's the one that brought this tour together, regardless if Syleena is not a part of it, then she deserves her 10%.
Yeah,
I hear that.
Because
I think that's what the shade was.
Yeah.
That little extra, we ain't talking about it, but we put more negative energy in there, and I think that lack of, I guess, putting a microscope to that point is the reason why Angie's so confused and left out. as far as the explanation.
No, the one thing that I did feel Angie was on the right of is she was saying, you know, how are we going to split this 50-50 and you're going to go for 30 minutes and I'm going to be on there for an hour.
Yeah.
How's that?
And then with the whole
made sense.
and with the whole band thing, why would Angie want to have this big band when you're only making $300,000? So you have to pay your band members. So and I'm sure you probably want to fly a certain way. So even the fact that you want to have this big elaborate band, it's like you're only making $300,000.
Well, she was cool with 300,000 is when it was going to be 50,000.
That's when she was like, I can't pay for all my band people to come. And then Syleena and them were like, well, we didn't want your band. Like Syleena was like, I didn't want your band. I'm fully comfortable with going out there and finding a band. So,
and then that was the point where she was like, we said we could have got a band out there, and then Angie was like, I didn't hear that. And this goes back to the proper way to handle business. You use emails, you use actual meetings where you write down what you want to do to people's different sides, and you hack it out and come to agreements before you leave the room.
Yeah, that's right. Well, and I think we're in agreement that we have wrapped up this after show. Absolutely. So now let's go into predictions for next week's Part 2 reunion.
Oh, snap.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Ladies first.
I knew he was going to say that.
Okay, well, man first. How about that?
You
okay.
Man.
Being that the man's supposed to be the provider, right?
You know what I'm saying?
Right, so listen,
Don't come back.
We're just gonna predict.
Hey, did you read them comments?
Anyway, so who wants to go, ladies, or no? Go.
We could just go.
Okay.
I predict it'll just continue again with the same subject. I don't know how it's gonna pan out because sometimes people bring emails, they want to bring a text message and show you proof, and I feel like the Latavia thing isn't done for some weird reason. I feel like they're just gonna beat the horse until it's 6 feet under. Next.
Oh, well, I believe and predict that Latavia won't sing again because that didn't go over so well. And hopefully they'll talk about One Night Only because I feel like was the premise, major premise of the show of this, throughout the season. So hopefully that'll be, I'm sure it will be the next big topic once they return.
Fellas.
I believe that Wendy will find a way to dive into the Grammy situation. I think that would be something cool to see. I also think that it will still have some focus on Latavia, although that horse is officially beaten for me now. Yeah, that's about it.
Well, my prediction is, well, I really predict that there shouldn't be a part 2, to be honest, because what else can you talk about? The One Night Only, but I don't.
That's the only thing. I feel like they should have just kind of threw that in there for the last 5 minutes.
I feel like all of the segments and that they've had has just been really quick little things, and I wish for it to be over. No, this is no. Are
we doing wishes?
No disrespect, but
no disrespect, but discuss the One Night Only and what else is there to talk about for 42 minutes. I don't know.
See.
Yeah,
well, I guess we will see.
But we shall see, and we're definitely going to recap it. So we want to thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Here AfterBuzz TV. Let everyone know where you can be found on social media.
You can find me at I'm Taisha Monique on IG and Twitter, and Taisha Monique on Facebook.
You can find me at All Eyes on Black on Twitter and Facebook, Alfred Thomas.
You can find me on Twitter at ChloeOnyx11 and on Instagram and Facebook at ChloeOnyx.
And you can find me on all social media at Bamm Ericsen. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode here at AfterBuzz TV for R&B Divas Atlanta Season 3 Reunion. We will see you guys next week.
Ciao.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.